said before, and I'll likely say it another 100 times on my channel, and please repeat after me, kids. I am not by any standard or stretch of the imagination a huge horror movie fan, but I cannot possibly say that I hate the entire genre as a whole. To my knowledge, there are a dozen horror movies that I like, from Jaws, Alien, The Exorcist, Halloween, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and of course my favorite horror movie of all time, The Descent, directed by Neil Marshall, who is now directing the next Hellboy movie. Neil Marshall, I swear if you screw this up, we're gonna have some problems. The point being is that there are multitudinous amounts of horror movies that are to my liking. However, when it comes to the vast majority of horror movies in the modern state of filmmaking, when it comes to demonic possession movies, torture porn, found footage horror films, or movies that are based off of a board game or creepypasta, I find watching the horror movie genre to be about as pointless and useless as watching a politically correct and bad episode on Saturday Night Live. Oh! That was until Jordan Peele, the co-creator of Key and Peele, alongside Keegan-Michael Key on the Comedy Central Network, created the horror thriller comedy surprise of 2017 by the name of Get Out. Get Out was the kind of horror movie that shied away from the trends of modern day horror movie cliches and tropes and created a horrifying and even thrilling and hilarious horror movie all on its own. It was scary with its tension and paranoia without having to throw in jump scares. Its comedy was hilarious without having to be juvenile. And the movie handled social commentary well without having to overshadow the enjoyment of the movie. Essentially kind of the opposite of what Spike Lee would do. Seriously, does anyone remember the ending of BlacKkKlansman? Yeah. But Get Out was a horror movie that I have never expected to be this good in so many years. And it was such a triumph that it earned a Best Original Screenplay nomination at the Oscars. And now Jordan Peele is going back into the sick, twisted roots of the horror movie genre by creating his second attempt at a horror movie known as Us, which is a movie that I saw early at the premiere at the South by Southwest Film Festival. The movie features a wife who is played by Lupita Nyong'o, a husband played by Winston Duke, and two other children going on vacation to the beach. However, it happens to be the exact same beach that Lupita's character, Adelaide Thomas, was scared about when she was a child when she went into a carnival attraction and saw an exact duplicate of herself in a mirror maze. But during the middle of the night, when all seems calm at 11:11, the family of four gets attacked by another family of four. This time, this family of four looks exactly like them. And it's up to the family to escape the clutches of their monstrous duplicates. As far as plots are concerned, that is pretty much all I have to tell you about this movie, because if I explain any further, it's probably gonna devolve into the dreaded spoiler territory. So please go into this movie knowing the littlest of information possible, because if you do, you're going to get yourself into seeing one of the best horror movies of the year and probably one of the best movies of the whole year. And I'm not even kidding when I say this. This is the kind of horror movie that will make the master of suspense himself, Alfred Hitchcock, proud. Why do I say this? Because this is a simple plot done monumentally better. And because of the fact that it is so simple, it allows the characters to grow and develop among each other. It doesn't necessarily feel the need to overcomplicate its mythology. It's essentially the same kind of storytelling build as Mad Max Fury Road, where it gives you a simple plot, it develops your characters without having to throw in or choke down exposition down your throat, and there isn't any unnecessary subplots either, like, oh, the girl has got a boyfriend that she has to deal with at home. Jordan Peele handles it so well that it allows you to like these characters from the ground up, and allows you to appreciate their actions, what their characters are about, what they have been dealing with in the past. Not to mention that the chemistry that the family have towards each other really feels authentic. It really feels like a family interacting with each other, trying to survive the night. And speaking of characters, the performances in this movie are awesome across the board. Winston Duke is a hilarious riot as Gabe, as he maintains the same kind of characteristic as a relatable father figure would have without having to act too much like a goofball. The two other kids also give exceptionally good performances as well, but the one actor that simply commands the movie is Lupita Nyong'o. Lupita Nyong'o's performance is so mesmerizing and so tremendous in every single way that she is destined to hopefully get an Oscar nomination. Why, you ask? For multiple reasonings. Number one, her performance carries the same exact kind of dread, fear, and tension throughout her entire performance. Not only by the way she acts, but by the way she acts with her eyes. She has such tremendous range and emotion that it doesn't feel way too over the top or way too overdramatic. Number two, she does a fantastic job at playing a strong female protagonist. Her character is exactly the kind of strong female protagonist we like in a movie like this. Not a movie where everything gets handed to her with with no trials or tribulations to speak of, and not a character who doesn't have a single flaw in the world. She is a character who is haunted by a mysterious past, and that past comes back to haunt her and probably kill her. And she is doing whatever it takes, not only to save herself, but the rest of her entire family. And number 3, alongside Winston Duke and the other child actors in the movie, they also have to play the exact same doppelganger, or as the movie would call it, tethered versions of themselves. And when you see them playing the tethered versions of themselves, it feels something otherworldly. It feels different. It feels somewhat sinister. It would feel like something out of your worst nightmares, and that is something that Jordan Peele does a great job in terms of directing these actors. The cinematography in this movie is breathtaking and excellent. There is not a single shot in this movie that is poorly handled or amateurishly shot. The shots in this movie are so nightmarish that there are so many beautiful yet haunting shots to choose from. Whether it's the young Adelaide looking at the thunderstorm in the sky, or the young tethered version of the little boy walking into the fire. It's the kind of imagery that not only can you admire of how beautifully composed it is the kind of image that will burn into your brain for probably months on end. The score in this movie is also terrific and dynamic, and it is utilized so perfectly well that it feels like something out of the older horror classics. When it comes to the opening theme, or perhaps the highlight of the entire soundtrack, the orchestral or tethered version of Lunez's I Got 5 on it. Certainly, the original song is killer when used in the movie, but when the horrorized version kicks in, it feels like something that we will definitely remember when the year's over. But the true rewards in Us is how Jordan Peele manages to utilize tension and horror masterfully. Like his previous movie Get Out, he doesn't even use jump scares to make his movie somewhat spooky. He uses some of the best horror filmmaking techniques imaginable to scare your audience. That is tension and paranoia. And it is something that every single movie uses, from Jaws to Aliens to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and even in The Descent. When a movie handles paranoia and the fear of the unknown, that is the scariest thing of all. Not having things constantly jump out at you, but mostly setting up things that would come after you. It's the kind of filmmaking technique that Jordan Peele does an exceptionally great thing on, that his technique of filmmaking feels like something out of Silent Hill or The Twilight Zone. It's so scary that when you're watching this movie, you feel like a kid in bed, looking at his closet or looking under his bed to feel like if a monster is about to come after him and attack him. It's freaking terrifying. It's not torture, it's not jump scares that make a movie scary. It is the fear of the unknown and the paranoia that make a horror movie scary. And also, to wrap this up, Us has a very hauntingly ambiguous and kind of divisive ending. It's the kind of ending that will leave some viewers kind of scratching their head upon the first viewing, not knowing what just happened, or if the twist was just entirely unnecessary. But upon second glance, it will allow you to piece the puzzles together and go, now I get it. That is completely genius right there. Whether you like or just don't really necessarily care about the ending, I do want to say that maybe a second glance is worth the watch. I mean, I'm certainly gonna go see this movie again. All I want to say to you is, when coming into this movie, be really prepared and pay real close attention to details. Us is the demented, sick, twisted horror movie for all the right reasons. It has a simple plot done monumentally better, awesome performances, relatable characters, excellent cinematography, a dynamic score, brutal, vicious violence, masterfully utilized horror and tension, and a hauntingly ambiguous ending that will keep moviegoers talking for days on end. Us is truly a horror movie for the ages, and that is why I am giving Us a 5 out of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are desperately waiting to see one of the best movies of the year so far, Us is a perfect way to start. Go see this movie as soon as you can. Alright guys, so that is my review of Us. Comment below, let me know what you thought about the movie. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and find me on Xbox if you're in the gaming mood. Also, if you would like to see more reviews like this, be sure to subscribe for more. My name is Luke Nukem, and you may want to look behind you.